Speedway. Kicking it off with the driver of the number 9 Exalta Mansi Metal Chevrolet for Junior Motorsports. Finishing 7th today, and that's William Byron. William, obviously, really hot coming into this. This is your 4th consecutive top 10, coming off 2 consecutive wins. Second in points, close that gap a little bit for that points lead, and what could be 15 playoff points at the end of the regular season. Maybe talk about that and how the playoffs are coming up and your run today.
Yeah, it was a pretty good run for us. I think we lacked a little bit, but I feel like we made really good adjustments and was able to get up there on a few restarts and have a chance at a top 3 or 4. Ultimately, finished 7th, but I feel like it was a pretty good overall day. Just lacked a little bit of speed, but we'll go to New Hampshire. It's a really good track for us, and hopefully get a win there.
Great. Thank you, William. We'll open up to questions. Start over here with Caleb.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. With the track run and the tire dragging in the middle groove, was that any difference in this race, or was it just drivers talking on the side of their mouths?
I think it was a huge difference. I think just having that extra few feet to work with, I think was big for us. I feel like it made multi-groove racing for restarts and stuff. Ultimately, when you get strung out, you're not going to really pass on a repave, especially with our cars. We don't have enough horsepower to get runs, but I think overall it was a pretty good race for a repave, and I feel like there definitely were 2 grooves on restarts, and it was treacherous, so that was good.
Go in the front here.
Steve Connolly, the podiumfinish.net. William, Kyle was on the radio a lot about the restarts today. We saw it from the start of the race. Was it close in any proximity to where you were at of issues? Did you see games being played more so than normal?
I don't know. I wasn't up on the first row, so I don't know. But I think from my vantage point, it looked like the restarts were, pretty exciting. But I don't really know on the games part. But overall, I think the outside was able to get a run for the first couple rows, and then after a lap or so, you had to be on the bottom. So it was overall not too bad.
Okay, we're now joined by the driver of the number 12 Snap-on Ford for Team Penske, and that's Ryan Blaney. Ryan has 7 starts this season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 6 of those were second or better, and he finished second today. Really fun watching you come through the field, Ryan, at the end there. Maybe talk about that and trying to come back from the pit road penalty.
Yeah, I thought we had a really great car all day, and we're just getting it better. Before that last caution, we're second behind the 20, and I thought we were just about to get by him pretty easy and set sail. And our long run car was pretty spectacular, and we were kind of debating whether the pit or not right there. And I thought we had enough laps on our tires to where we could come down, and we had to take rights, and we took rights to stop before that. And I thought it was time to do it. And it looked like everybody was coming. And I think all but 2 came. I think all but the 18 and the 41, and then we came out 4th, which was going to be fine. I thought we made an adjustment to our car to make it better, to fire off better, and then we had that penalty. I guess we didn't get the right front back to the wall, but came in and put 4 on it and made a really good change, just tightened me up a lot. I was pretty loose all day, and that brought it to life, and we were able to run up through there. And I wish it was 202 laps. That would have been pretty nice, but it's a disappointing day of not getting the win with the fastest car. I thought you can look at the positives and know that we did have the fastest car, and that's definitely something to build off of for sure in the future.
Okay. Open it up to both of these gentlemen. Start here at the...
Ryan, I'm Mark Story from the Lexington Herald-Leader. How are you feeling physically, and with 400 more laps to go, how will your regimen be the rest of the day? What will you do? I'm
good. It's honestly not that hard of a day. It's 700 miles today, so it's not that bad. This racetrack is tough, but luckily it wasn't that hot out there today for this race, and it's going to be a night race in the Cup car. So I don't think it's really going to be a big issue. I'll probably take a nap and eat something and be good to go.
Anyone else for... Oh, Jessica.
Jessica Ruffin with NASCAR.com. This is for Ryan. In terms of, running the Xfinity race earlier and then going back in the Cup car later, was there anything you learned that you could take for the Cup race tonight?
I think a little bit, yeah. Even though it's a daytime race with the Xfinity cars and a nighttime race with the Cup stuff. I feel like we can take away some things of, changes that we made throughout this race to apply to the Cup cars. I was pretty loose all day, and I thought we made some good changes in this car. So they usually will apply over to that side. So that's something good to know. But yeah, there's definitely things we can take away from this race as far as setup-wise and changes we made to help out for tonight.
Any final questions for William or Ryan? Oh, Bob.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. Ryan, could you tell much of a difference of the tire dragging in the middle groove this morning?
When I lost the lead on that restart, when I slid up in 3, I didn't wreck, and I think I would have wrecked if the tire dragging wasn't brought out, because I was up in that lane, that third lane. So I think that kind of saved you a little bit. So I thought that was good. I saw that move made a couple times in the truck race, and people spun out, and I didn't see that today. I saw a lot of cars get loose and kind of slide up to that lane, and it kind of caught halfway, and they were able to keep going. So hopefully that'll help out. I ran kind of high in 1 and 2 a little bit coming back to the field, and it seemed to have some grip, like half a lane up. So I think it didn't hurt at all getting that tire dragging out this morning. So hopefully tonight in the Cup cars it'll get really slick on the bottom, and we'll have to be forced to move around. That's usually what happens, and I'm hopeful for that.
Anything else? Going once, twice? Thank you, gentlemen.
Tucker White, Speedway Meet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a
guys.
question about the press box.
Yes, I'm sorry, press box. I'm sorry.
All right,
gentlemen.
Tucker White, SpeedwayMedia.com. This is for Ryan Blaney. Ryan, with about between 50 to 40 laps to go, when you were chasing down, I believe it was Eric Jones for the lead, I noticed you were catching him in turns 1 and 2, and then losing him in turns 3 and 4. What do you chalk that up to, and do you see that being the case again in tonight's race?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was 1 and 2 is a lot faster, a lot more banked, and there's more things to lean on. And you can get in the corner pretty even with the car in front of you, if not a little bit harder. And the banking is there to hold you, even though if aero isn't your best friend with them taking the air away. I think it has something else to lean on, whereas into turn 3, it's so flat. It's so hard to kind of enter with that person. You're already loose into there beginning with, and then you get a car in front of you, it takes all the air away, and you have to kind of just let them go and back that corner up and try to get a run off. So just different corners, different banking, and the aero stuff we always talk about comes into play a lot more in 3 and 4 than 1 and 2. Hopefully, I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be the same way tonight, unless the track widens out. But with 2 races on the same day and no rain, I think that's just going to help that process of it widening out.
My apologies about the press box. Anything else in the press box?
No more questions.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we are here with the winner of today's All-SCO 300, and that is Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 NOS Energy Drink Rowdy Toyota. A couple quick stats, and I'll open it up immediately to the floor. We want to get Kyle has to get ready for the Monster Energy race tonight. 88 wins for Kyle, 35, an unbelievable 35 of those have come from the polls. So congratulations, Kyle. And we're also joined by the crew chief, Eric Phillips. And we'll open it up immediately to questions. If you have one, raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you. Questions down in the media center to start with. Start here in the front.
Mark Story, Lexington Herald Leader. Kyle, how hot was it in the car, if it was hot at all, and what's your routine now going into the second race?
It wasn't too terrible out there today. I expected it to be a little bit worse than it was, It wasn't 95 degrees, but it was probably 85 or 88, whatever. But, it's certainly a challenge to just make sure you get enough fluids in you. Obviously being able to get the fluids back in, just because, I'm still sweating, and still leaking. So you got to be able to put that back. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe mine was just like going for a bike ride, so I'm sure Jimmy did that today, and maybe some others. But I'll be ready to go. It's just about being able to get back, get some rest, get in some cool air, and get some fluids down.
You can just shout it out.
We'll try it again. There, Steve Conley, the podium finish. Kyle, from the outset of the race today, restarts seemed to be an issue. You had issues on the radio. You were talking about guys hanging back. Talk about your procedures for not only the initial start, but the rest of your restarts throughout the day from leading and what you're looking for behind you.
Well, you're looking for those guys that are laying back. I mean, I tried not to lay back from those in front of me. I mean, I felt like the furthest back I got was a half a car length. I mean, I think that's respectable. But there were sometimes I think guys behind me that when Eric Jones and myself were on the front row, they were 2 lengths back. So you got to just wait as far as you can into the zone and wait for them in order to get back to your back bumper. And the restart zone here is so late and so close to the start-finish line that it makes it look really, really bad because everybody's anxious to go and we're not even to the zone yet. But just trying to make sure that you don't get pinned in a bad spot when you're out front, and when you're behind, you're trying to do it right. You're trying to do the right things and not manipulating what NASCAR wants you to do.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. With the track running the tire dragging this morning and currently running it right now, did you notice anything different from the car in that middle groove?
Yeah, until they oiled down the backstretch and that lane getting into turn 3, I thought the track was really wide getting into turn 3. I thought it was really racy. So hopefully they can burn that in a little bit more down the backstretch, and that quickie dry that they put down in order to take up some of that oil, they can burn that off and get it back where it's black instead of white. Because after that, it got to being about one groove again, and I didn't see anybody widening it out. You're scared to get into the white stuff because the car will just take off up the racetrack on you. So the other thing I saw was the racetrack looked really good in 1 and 2. It got pretty wide. There's definitely nothing out there to go race in, I'd say, but at least it's safe if you do slip that you can get out there and still catch your car. There's room for lap cars to go out there and not feel like they're going to crash. So at least they were pretty mindful of the leaders today, and we'll see how all that goes tonight.
We'll hop up to the press box. Any questions up there?
No questions.
We'll go over here to Gary.
Gary Graves, AP. On that final restart, what were you thinking about the car's handling? I mean, were you kind of surprised by how it just kind of dialed in immediately right after that?
Yeah, I was a little nervous just based off being on those older tires, hot tires, and picking up all the rubber off the racetrack and hopefully getting them clean, and then being able to take off and and feeling out what the grip was going to be. It was a little lower than I expected it to be, and I thought the guys behind me were going to pounce and catch up, but they must have been worse off than I was. So it was nice to have what I needed in clean air to be able to drive away a little bit there. I felt like our car was really, really fast out front. If we could get out front, I felt like we could hold everybody off through much of the day. There was a couple times where I caught Blaney or I caught Eric Jones, and I just couldn't quite get the run on him that I needed in order to get by him early in the race, and would then kind of fade back off of him just from pushing the car too hard. And so just kind of learned my lesson on those sorts of things and was able to do a better job of that late in the going. And Eric called for 4 tires on that one pit stop there it ended up being the second to last stop, and then that gave us the opportunity in order to stay out for that final stop where everybody else had to pit and get more tires. They felt like because they were losing time to us for sure. We were catching them there in the late going.
We'll wrap it up here to the right with Jim Utter.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. On the restarts, not the procedure-wise, but the actual racing, both in the truck race and the Xfinity, seemed to have gotten kind of wild several times. What do you expect in that aspect tonight?
I expect the same thing. I think we saw last year there were some wild moments. I thought the 24 and the 21 were probably the most exciting, and then they ended up crashing together. So it's just because you feel like you've got so much room in 1 and 2 to kind of be too wide, and then off of turn 2, everybody wants to fan out and make it 3 wide or 4 wide, and they'll run straight down the inside lane down the backstretch, and then you got to make this what it feels like a 90-degree turn and go the other way, and a lot of guys will slip and hit somebody on their outside, or the outside comes down and hits the inside, whatever it might be, because it's just so narrow over there. And that's why it did look pretty good early on with restarts being okay, that the track was wider at the moment, and then it narrowed up after that oil dry got put down. So hopefully they can burn some of that oil dry back off in turn 3 and widen it back out again to where it was, because I felt like we were really arcing the corner and getting the corner entry pretty wide over there in 3 and on the long runs.
Okay, 3 trophies so far, all of which have gone to Kyle Busch. Going for the 4th tonight. Good luck.
Right, cool.
Congrats,
Thanks.
gentlemen.